So last week, I spoke about the power of empathy. And I went into several stories about describing what empathy is, and then empathy is where you will see another person's situation and it actually touches your heart. You don't necessarily and hopefully not feel all the pain that they feel, but you definitely empathize with them and you care. And then compassion, I said, was empathy with action. You go ahead and carry out an act out of compassion, helping another person. And so today in the series that we have that's 12 or 13 weeks long, we're talking about personal transformation. And today I'm talking about the power of kindness. And it fits right in. I didn't know that when we created the schedule, but with Valentine's Day on Friday, and tomorrow is Random Acts of Kindness Day. Did you know that? I didn't either when we created the schedule, but I know it now. And so it's just absolutely perfect timing. And one person, I do want to mention something from the prayers that I did not mention, is our friend Horst Gratz, that's in rehab in Pascagoula. Thank you. And he sends his regards. He knows that we're praying for him. Dan went and spent quite a bit of time with him this week, and he just, same thing, the prayers are working, same thing that Lewis said. So keep it up. So I had a couple of quotes for today that I would like to read from the bulletin. When the energies of kindness, love, receptivity, and abundance are present in your relationships, you've brought the love of the Creator right into the mix. Isn't that beautiful? The love of the Creator. That's what we all want. And another one, I thought this was especially touching, resonance. You see this effect when striking a key on a piano when other strings vibrate along with it, yet others do not. Do you know why? They resonate. And it's why right now there's so much going on in the world, and who you are and who you are being. Not just what you say, who you are being is resonating with other people. And it's brought you here because you resonate with us. We have a vibe that you resonate with, and we're so glad. And so then others that resonate with a different chord that doesn't work for us, that's fine. We bless them and pray for their happiness and their well-being. But we all resonate to different strings and different chords. And then the Random Acts of Kindness Day has been celebrated since 1995. It was begun by a small group, I believe, in Colorado, and I'm just glad that people recognize the value of kindness. Kindness is love in action, and that's what it is. And if you do anything other than being kind, then you're not being loving at that moment, are you? You're just not. You're just not resonating with the key of love or God, the master key. You're not resonating. You may ask me, well, how am I truthful? How do I be truthful and kind if I need to say something to someone that is honest and they've asked for my opinion? Well, you do it as kindly as you're able. And if you're not able, then you make an excuse or don't say anything. If you can't be kind, don't say anything. For instance, and this is silly, somebody asked me, well, Judy, what do you think of my new hairdo? Well, let's see. Maybe the wildest hairdo I've ever seen. Say something kind. But if it's someone in my family and they want an honest opinion, I might say to my husband, Dan, you're not going out in public in that old ratty T-shirt, are you? And he says yes. That old ratty T-shirt with the paint and the holes in it, you're not going to actually go out in public in that, are you? But you know what I mean. People think that you can't be honest and kind, but you can. You can. Everybody can be kind. And it was what we were sent here to do. I think we all know that. There are 5. So what's in it for me if I'm going to be... Actually, you do it. You don't do it for anything. You do it because you want to be an expression of God right here on earth. And you want to be an expression of love. But the interesting thing is there are a lot of benefits from it. A whole lot of benefits. It makes us happier. Did you know that? It's good for the heart. It truly is. It can heal you. It slows aging. You start getting younger all the time. And it's true. You truly do. It's good for relationships, isn't it? I bet everybody can speak to that. It's good for relationships, kindness. Kindness is of God. It's the thing that Jesus spoke of so many times. Do unto others. Do unto others. We have a golden rule in not only in Christianity, but every religion on this earth. They have their version of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want to be treated. And you'd want to be treated kindly, no matter what, wouldn't you? With kindness. And it's contagious. There's a story of a man that was in downtown New York, and it was a busy Monday morning, and he was walking down the sidewalk, and there was a man in front of him whose backpack had come unzipped a little bit, and papers were slipping out onto the concrete. So the man picked up the papers and tapped him on the shoulder and handed them to him. He said, "My friends, you need to zip up your backpack. You're losing things." And the man was extremely grateful and expressed his gratitude. And of course, the man that did the kind act immediately felt better. And then he's walking on down the road and comes to a red light and at an intersection, and he's waiting, and a man taps him on the shoulder. He said, "Hey man, I saw what you did back there. That was really cool. That was really cool. I'm going to do an act of kindness myself today." And so then, of course, that uplifted the man even more. And he went on to explain why this happens, is that an act of kindness generates the chemical oxytocin in your brain. And this immediately makes you feel better. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel joyful. You want to do more for others. You want to be part of life. And so immediately that's working in him. And so then it works in the man that he handed the papers to and the man that saw it. And so they're both going to go on with their day. Like I said, it's contagious. It really is. Kindness is contagious. And as far as making you happier and creating better relationships, there's the story of a little boy that was he was Hebrew, and he had special needs, but he attended the Hebrew school. And so he and his dad were walking down by the school one day, and there was a softball game going on. And a little boy says, his name was Shia, "I want to play, Dad." But he had physical and mental disabilities. And his dad says, "Oh no, what am I going to do now?" So the child was insistent, and so he goes to one of the players and he said, "Would it be okay if Shia played with you, just for a little bit?" Of course, this put the kid on the spot. I don't know. They were already down and losing, and so all they needed was someone that couldn't even hit the ball, So an amazing thing happened, though. When the team decided to allow him to play, something miraculous happened. He went up to bat, didn't even know how to hold a bat, but one of the children showed him very patiently. And even the kids on the other team, they all came in closer and closer so that they wouldn't intimidate him, or if he hit the ball, they'd be able to get it. So even the pitcher from the other team, he came in and very gently threw the ball, trying to hit Shia's bat. Shia swung. Of course, he didn't hit it the first time. But then the pitcher came a little closer, and everybody's rooting for him now. "You can do it, you can do it, you can do it," out of kindness and love, wanting something good for this young man. And so the pitcher threw the ball again, and this time Shia hit it, but just a little bit. It just barely left the batter's cage there. And so then they're telling him to take off running, and he didn't know where to run. So one of the kids ran with him to first base. And then they're encouraging him to go on to second. And of course, the pitcher can't possibly get the ball to either of those bases because he doesn't want to. And both teams just standing with applause and yelling and cheering this young man on from second to third base and on to home. And that's what love looks like. That's what teamwork looks like. We all can do that, we all can. It's such a competitive world, and everybody seems like they're out there trying to say something more smart-alecky than the last and ugly. That's not love. That's not kindness, nor is it generosity, and nor is it of God. It's just not. And you can use any playbook you want to, or any pair of glasses for that type vision, and you're just not going to find love there. You're just not. It's either kindness or it's not. That's the bottom line. I told John and Doug this morning before I left the house that I use one message every Sunday, and that is, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And love, love, love. I mentioned in the 9:15 discussion group this morning that I love the writing sometimes of Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a humanist. And humanists believe in the greatest deal of love, loving kindness and gentleness, and whatever they believe about an afterlife, it doesn't matter. They just believe in being kind and loving now, right here, right now. And there's one thing you can use as criteria to decide whether you're living according to God's rules. You can just say, am I being kind? Am I being loving? Would this act be kind, or is this coming from my ego? My ego is going to be looking for fear maybe my ego is going to want me to be competitive and do one better than the person next to me. My ego may even be so battered and bruised, it may want to put other people down so I can look bigger and better than the next one. It's either love or it's not. And kindness is contagious. I told you last week about the lady that I assisted when I was in Cozumel, because she couldn't make it on the little tour we were on. And so I said, well, come on, I'm going to go back with you. I could tell she needed companionship. And it just made me feel better to do it. It makes you feel better. It releases all those feeling good chemicals that we have. It just does. It's a way to be God right here on this earth. There was a man named Job. And I know that in various ways you've heard a lot about him. Whether it's a real story about Job or whatever, it's a great story, whether he was historically real. He had had a really rough time. He was so down on his luck and even covered with boils. His life had become miserable. He'd lost all he had, his friends, just about all of his friends, his business, every single thing. And so he's sitting there so depleted, so alone. And then from 3 different areas come 3 of his friends. They had heard of his hardship. As they got closer, they see this emaciated person. They didn't even recognize him. He was so depressed and feeling badly. And so you know what they did? His friends got there, the 3 friends, they sat in a circle with him for 7 days. And they just sat there and prayed and gave him their loving energy. They didn't try to give him advice. They didn't try to tell him what he'd done wrong. They didn't try to say, well, here's what I would have done in this situation, or to be haughty, or to feel self-righteous because he was down. No. They had total empathy and compassion. They held him in their hearts, and they sat in a circle with him until he healed. And that's what love is. And I hope that each and every one of you here are blessed with a circle of friends that when you need them, when you're down, all you need to do is maybe call them and say, would you pray for me? Maybe you need to ask them to bring you a casserole. Sometimes people that are down won't let you bring them a casserole. But that's what love is, folks. That's all it is. That's all God is love. So many messengers came to try to tell us that. And then we so often forget. And we get out in the world and we forget so easily what love is. Unity has 5 principles. And one is that there is one power and one presence in the universe. What they did, they tried to just make it clear. We don't have a lot of doctrine or dogma or anything like that, but all of the teachings that came from the Unity founders, the Fillmores, and Myrtle healed herself from tuberculosis at a time when there was no cure. And it got their attention to the point that they wanted to share this good news. It's like, did you know? And that then the second principle is that we each are a strand of that love of God, each and every one of us. And with our thoughts, we can control our lives. Tammy and I were just talking about that a little while ago, weren't we? That until you've reached the point in your life where you can truly get this one key thing, and this is important. It's important. Until you recognize that you can change your thoughts, you're going to go with the same old patterns. So that's critically important, critically important. is how she's healing her arm. She decided she wasn't going to let this get her down. She changed her thought every time she was feeling sorry for herself and got up and did something. Yeah. And we reach God most clearly through prayer and meditation. It's how we allow Spirit in. We allow Spirit in, around, and through us. And once we see this miraculous rhythm of life and we feel it, you can't live without it. You just want to expose yourself to it in more and more and more ways. And then all of that matters. And another thing, the fifth principle is really important. You got to live it. You got to live it. It's not good enough to just to know it. You've got to live it. You've got to live those principles and be that in the world. And it's really pretty simple. It really is. And sometimes, I know I read a story this morning about compassion while I was waiting for the study group to come. And a woman was telling the story of how she went out in the neighborhood and helped by taking food or just dropping in to people that were isolated and remote. And she stopped by to see a little woman that hadn't been eating. She was depressed. She was emaciated. There was almost nothing left of her. And the generous woman that stopped by, she said, "Well, you're not eating anything." And the woman says, "I just don't want anything to eat. I feel like my life has come to an end." And she said, "Well, you're going to eat something with me. I'm going to give you some ice cream." And so she did. She went to the freezer and got some ice cream out, and she fed the woman herself, hand-fed her. And she said within an hour, she had perked up and felt like being with the living again. In that short a time, can you imagine that you can bring someone from almost death's door to life? And she told her friend as she was telling this story that it's why she does the work that she does. It's because she can resurrect people herself. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I want to do that too. I want to help resurrect people. I want to help heal their lives. I want to be one that is always there to serve others in whatever capacity that is and whatever need they have. And I know that I have a particular holy mission, and it may be a little different than yours. All of them are unique. And my holy mission is to serve wherever I am in any way that I can for the higher good. And I ask this question: does this look like love? And it guides me to everything I'm going to do. Hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you, tomorrow on Random Acts of Kindness Day, I hope you commit 25 at least acts of kindness. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being my friend. I love you all.